Hey everyone, welcome back to our weekly abuse of a 21-year-old game, Chains Devstream. How's everyone doing tonight? We are going to be continuing to work on the new OpenGL code. For anyone who missed the last stream, or what's been going on lately, I will just fire the game up here and show a quick example. So currently working on the world map. Didn't quite load right there, so I'm gonna back up. Hey Icarus, how's it going? There we go. All right, so this is the 60 frames per second, 1080p OpenGL world map. As you can see, it is very, very smooth. What I have been working on for the past little bit is this. So we've got text rendering working, as well as partial text box support. I have updated the no entry text to don't enter because it has driven me crazy for the past 20 plus years. I just found this project looking great. Thank you. It has been a lot of work from quite a few people. The world map would be great with mini stores. I'm not sure what you mean by mini stores. Interesting that the glacier is all white. Look at that. Um, hmm. Using the regular brightness. I don't know, I'll have to look into that later. Hey Vincent, how's it going? So yeah, made pretty significant progress on the world map. There's still a fair bit that's not done. For example, we don't get anything when zoomed out. We don't have the zoom indicator. Sometimes this happens to Dart, where he turns into a glowing ball. Just fun stuff. So this stream, I think we're actually going to work on submaps, which are the areas like towns and forests and things like that. Right now, if we go into them, it's just going to be completely black. I'll just pop back onto the world map for a second. Yeah, like if we try to enter Fletz, or Leningrad rather, we can, but then nothing happens. You see, we just kind of sit here. Now, we aren't actually like still on the world map or anything. Like if I pop out here, we shouldn't. Okay, we're on the world map. That's interesting. The transition is actually not working. Hey, Chocolate. So let's take a look here and see what the issue is. So we should be able to look at the uh, yeah, transition to submap method, which is index 7. So this is where it should be doing the transition. How many of these do we have? Just these two? Yeah, okay. Hmm. So whatever this color value is, seems like it should be ticking down, but it's not. Let's see here. We get that value subtracted, but then it seems that the next frame, yeah, it gets reset. Let's see what is causing that. Render map overlay. Hey Dart, how's it going? Yeah, so it's getting added back up right here. So I think this overlay should not be getting rendered right now, but it still is for some reason. Let's bring up some folder code. Okay, so that is the same. I need to see where that's being called from. You're wondering why the screen's all black there. It's because I don't have any rendering going in the OpenGL stuff. World map. Okay. So that's here. Okay. Am I breaking up for anyone else? I've gotten a few dropped frames, but not a lot. I think it was mostly just from when I was opening another copy of IntelliJ. Kinda. Hmm. Is it like staticky or is it just like noise gate is too strong? I did kind of mess with some of the settings a bit so that I could add like a stream starting soon intro screen. So I might not have gotten everything quite exactly the same. Okay. Yeah, not really sure what's up with that, but hopefully it doesn't become a problem. Okay, so we're going to test out something here. Interesting. Um, so this color is in fact staying the same. Um, Let me backtrack to right here. I'll put a breakpoint here on the old version. Hmm, not changing. But we must get in here because this is what actually does the transition into submaps. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, are we still... We are still getting in here. Okay, so this one is adding, but this one is subtracting more. When I switched the colors up, I did not switch up this one. Okay, so let me just these other spots. Okay, so that was 1/4, so it should be a half now. And that one was an 1/8, that's a 1/4. Okay, same here. So we will recompile. Now let's see if this... Alright, so it did fade out. Yeah, okay, I was able to leave. Now we're not seeing anything, of course, because we haven't added submap rendering yet. Alright, so that fade definitely isn't doing anything, but at least the transition's working now. So I'm just going to leave a note for myself. Um, 'Cause that's not super important right now, but obviously we do want it to happen. I'm gonna commit that fix. All right, now we're going to move on submaps. So I think the method here is load environment. Okay. So in here, all of the background rendering packets. Okay, so let's just take a look at this for a minute, figure everything out. So I think we've got all of the information we need here. Right, so in what do these two classes have? Okay, so that is foreground texture stuff. I think this is all just the regular backgrounds. Uh, Here we will a OpenGL object for it, and a matrix and vector for the transforms. And it will be, let's see, okay. I'm gonna pull this up. Pull this up here and gonna do final flows red. Okay. Yeah, we should have everything we need to build this packet up now. Take a look at how the renderer works. Okay, easy enough. This view prints this. And we should just be able to use the quad Should just be a basic rectangle. I've written as much of this as possible to be compatible with the actual rendering code. Uh, it's not exactly the PS1 rendering code, but the older rendering code that we have been using up until this point. It's a lot easier because, for the most part, I can just kind of copy and paste. Okay, let's see. X is going to be 168. Um, we just have the clock. Now for the checker page, we are going to have to unpack this value here, but that is basically already done for us. So this is all 1.0, so we don't need to set the colors manually. The UVs we'll copy from above. The positions, we will use these values. And then we need size. Oh, we need the Z value here. No, it has to be Z times 4 because the PS1 uses a lower resolution Z buffer and cuts a lot of uh, information off. Get a lot of instances are through each other and stuff where it doesn't look like they should. Okay, so here, geometrics, need to set up the transformations. Now our affine transformations will just be identity, and we'll set the translation to is on the z-axis. So we're gonna have a little bit of weird. For now, I'm gonna queue this as an orthographic model, which means we use a very simple camera with no projection. Basically going to be, just need to figure out a good spot to actually unload this. Ooh, actually, I just noticed this is being done in a file callback. Um, so we're not going to be able to build the environment packet here. It needs to be done in the same thread that OpenGL was initialized in. So because the we have multi-threaded file loading, that's not going to work. Before I address that, though, I am going to find a good spot to uh, delete the texture or the models after we're done using them. Let's see. As long as my comment is correct. Yeah, okay. Unload submap. We should be able to do that here. For all of these. Oops. I do. So that'll clean up after us. Um, okay, those are all unloads. What is our actual first stage rendering this? That's where we load the backgrounds. Where does it get set to 0? 3 spots by the looks of it. I think in here we'll just do a check to see if it needs to be built. That's probably fine. Yeah, so we'll need to pull this out. Going to have to switch a few the red externally. These S zeros. Right, everything. Uh, Still have to pull value out here. We just do that. So in here, metrics dot off is, then we know we need to build it. Z value as well, which will be metrics dot z. And we'll delete that. Who's on Ryu? Hey, Pony Bro, how's everyone doing? What are you having for dinner? All right, let's see if this actually works by some miracle. No. Happens if we get rid of these sets. This sounds pretty good. No, no such luck. Okay. Wait for this to recompile. And let's leave this area back to, oh, it did not like, must still be trying to render when oh well, restart it here. Okay, so these seem sane. So we got 8-bit. The Y coordinate for the color lookup seems reasonable. And 384 sounds fine. Y value is 0. Fine. Our X offset is 0. Our Y offset is also 0. That's a very large Z value, which, I mean, it makes sense for the PS1 since they wanted to render it behind everything else. However, that may be causing us some issues. Bring up the Render engine here. Let me see what our um, yeah, that's a really, really, really far away Z value. I am having hot chocolate right now, actually. So let's try bring it at I don't know. Not sure how you feel about me drinking hot chocolate? Oh, yeah. Should have sent that message. Let's take a look at the rest of these values. Yeah, I prefer just like plain unsweetened cocoa mixed in with some warmed up soy milk and water. So I think it's just getting rendered way off screen. Let's try this. No, why you gotta be like this? Okay, what happens if we don't upload any transforms at all? Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of sweet things. Still nothing. Okay, we're gonna try something a little different here. Um, let's just draw a square. Position size, yeah, that should be all we need. Let's try drawing a square and see what happens. Uh, I have a suspicion. I can say might be something weird going on with the camera, but we're using the orthographic projection, which should be using the 2D camera. Uh, okay, let's hop back to the world map for a second. Suppose we don't need to be doing all of this extra math anymore for the old camera, but I'll deal with that another time. Yeah, this should just be setting the 3D camera. not the 2D camera. Well, have some. Now why not be working? Let's see what happens if we just queue it as a regular model. Okay, so we're getting something there. Now if I call it, yeah, so we've got a real big square. And it is working in the 3D projection, but not the 2D projection for some reason. Is there a sound happening right now? I've got my audio turned down pretty low. Yeah, unfortunately, when I pause at a breakpoint, whatever sound is currently playing will kind of loop until I unpause it. Yeah, we switch back to the orthographic projection, and it's gone. But why? Why is it gone? What are we doing wrong here? Yeah, I'm gonna shut that down. Shouldn't be too much of a delay. I might have just missed your message for a little while. I'm running on low latency right now, so it shouldn't be too bad. I know it did take me a little bit to answer that last message, so the delay, at least this time, isn't as bad as it might seem, but I don't know. You never know with YouTube. Okay, let's make this really big. Like, we know it's there because we can see it in 3D. Actually, I'm wondering if I've noticed that if you mash sometimes the menu doesn't unload right. Yeah, yeah, that was an example of that. I'm wondering if the orthographic projection just isn't liking the fact that I gave it a depth. Yeah, okay, so it's still not rendering. Let's do 0. Now, if this works, their entire screen should be hot pink. Okay, that's what it was. Let's just backtrack this, and we're going. Does that this looks like? Yep. Okay. That's a background. Now, what you're seeing here, these are the cutouts of the things that would render on top of Dart. So this is kind of what gives it like the illusion of 3D, even though they use pre-rendered backgrounds. Now, of course, they're not rendering because I haven't added them yet, but yeah, here we go. Um, Now let's see what happens if we re-enable the transformation. A friend of mine, a friend bought this game for me 6 months ago. I remember borrowing it in my childhood. I'm not sure how YouTube got the metadata to recommend me this. That is a good question. YouTube works in mysterious ways, I guess. I think we probably don't want to subtract the screen offset here. Or maybe we do, because at least I'm pretty sure I'm moving Dart right now, but the map isn't moving. Okay, something's happening. Unfortunately, I have no idea where I am walking right now. Okay, well, I got to the map transition. Yeah, somehow. Wonder how it could be. Okay, so the reason it's crashing when we go back out to the world map is because we are deleting these objects while they are still being rendered. Um, I am going to add a stopgap in here. So that anything marked as deleted can no longer be rendered. This is definitely the easiest fix. Hmm. The upscaling project is currently on hold because the developers of it are retargeting it for Severed Chains. They're in the process of actually working on this project with me. And once we finish the OpenGL update, they will be uh, they'll be adding it in. The reason is that the emulator support just doesn't work very well. The person that implemented it only really like half implemented it and like just enough for what they needed it for, and then abandoned it. And it's just not. It's just really really slow. But yeah, with severed chains, that won't be an issue. Trying to walk around right now is not easy without being able to see where I am. It's a map, and we getting the rest of the game to 60 as well. Okay, so now that we've got these rendering, take the scale. Um, okay, so this is going to need to do something different submaps because for some reason it's wider than the actual screen, and then squish them down. So if engine state is submap, we need to return a different value. I think it's 368 is the width instead of 3. And then instead of identity, we will do a scaling matrix. Yeah, this is fully 60 FPS, 1080p. Probably doesn't come across super great on YouTube, but yeah. It, like the main menu didn't unload. I am gonna get around to fixing that one of these days. Really, I just need to stop being impatient and mashing buttons here. There we go. So this is looking better. Zooming in is not great. I haven't really done a proper like full screen yet. I haven't really thought much about how I want to implement this. So when you zoom into like non 4:3 aspect ratios, things get a little weird. Okay, so yeah, it's actually moving correctly now. Now that it's scaled properly. Wonder if I can get into a position where I can talk to someone. Uh, yes, but the text box rendering. Oh, it's probably because of the orthography. Yeah, I think this is called. Yeah, the postscript tick. Well, that should be before the text boxes, but we're way too early to start looking at text boxes right now. All right. So back to environment rendering. We can now one and let's see here. We've got our foreground objects as well, which is probably just going to be the exact same code. Let's see. So we've got an extra offset here. Back that on. Everything else is the same. Looks like it. And let's see if that works. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of tactics style games. Haven't played one in a really long time though. There we go. We've got all the overlays and everything now. Easy. Audio integration, would 60 frames per second be attainable even with Res 5? Is there any plan to go above Res 5? Not sure how the resolution scaling even works. No, not a dumb question. And actually, um, you don't even need to worry about resolution. Like it'll just render at whatever resolution the window is. So like if I went into full screen, like it would just render at 1080p. And like with the amount of stuff that OpenGL renders, it's basically nothing. Um, like performance is not even a concern. It'll pretty much run on anything. Like with my laptop in power saver mode, um, like running at 1080p on the world map, I can push like 300 frames per second. Yeah, and what that means is we will be able to support people adding higher quality models and things like that pretty easily because we've got a whole lot of wiggle room. We're not exactly dealing with a modern AAA game here. Yes, there is a very big difference between OpenGL and Vulkan. So Vulkan is a much, much lower level API. Um, it's kind of like closer to, it's not like an assembly language, but it's kind of like closer to an assembly language versus like, OpenGL being more kind of like C. Um, Basically with Vulkan, like nothing is done for you. Um, you have to write code like to do absolutely everything, which is good for performance, but bad for the amount of time that it takes. And you also have to, know exactly what you're doing. For for a game like LOD, um, that performance difference would basically be zero. So the amount of time that would need to be invested just wouldn't be worth it at all. I really need to get Drew to fix Nightbot. So I am gonna move this stuff down. We are gonna have to figure out how to handle the depth. I am not familiar with Microsoft. Oh, you mean DirectX? Um, OpenGL and DirectX are pretty much the same. Um, it's just that DirectX runs on Microsoft products like Windows PCs and Xboxes, um, whereas OpenGL it runs on a lot more platforms. There's OpenGL bindings for most things aside from like consoles. So we can really easily run on Windows, Mac, Linux. We've got a Steam Deck build. You can run OpenGL on phones, etc. We may at some point target phones with this project as well. I despise developing for Android. Um, so I am not going to be the one to do it, but the libraries that we use will all run on Android. So if someone ever really feels the need to do it, it's doable. Okay. Back on task here. Not gonna lie, I'm really sad that Android and iPhones are the only two options now because I really don't like either. I use an Android, but it's not by choice. Delete that call as well. And we don't need these anymore either. Yeah, I just don't like having to use a phone for everything. I had a couple of Windows phones like Lumia's, and they were actually really good. I had two different Windows phones. One was an older 8.1 phone, but I had upgraded it to Windows 10. And the newer one that I had was native 10. I think it was a 960 XL or something like that. Massive phone. Before that, I had a BlackBerry Z10, which was also really nice. It actually had like probably one of the best user interfaces I've ever seen on a phone. Yeah, I could never do like any kind of serious gaming on phones. Like, you know, they're just I mean the screens are just too small and I mean like at the point where like the screen gets to be a half decent size, like at that point it's just, way too big to even be a phone. Hey, Ontario. Yeah, we're starting to work on submaps now and also reminiscing about our boomer phones. Okay, one of my favorite phones though, uh, going real far back, was the BlackBerry Storm 2. And it had a super weird screen that you could actually you could touch with your finger and it would be like hovering over things with your mouse. And then you could actually push the screen and it would click. Like the screen was actually like a physical button. And that was a great concept because you could do a lot more with it, but like no other phone that I know of at least has ever done that. The changes that have happened now, I have made a bunch more improvements to the world map. You can now like go to a destination and choose to enter or not enter. Um, the world map is probably 75% done. And it's working pretty well. Looks real nice in 60 frames per second. Well, I can just fire it up here and show you actually. Yeah, I just hate touchscreens in general. I just give me buttons. I just want to press buttons. Check it out. Move around all smooth. And we have even started submaps. All we have is the backgrounds and foregrounds rendering, but yeah, that's still a pretty big start. Hey, what's up, Rosanik? Yeah, it is 60 FPS. We'll be bumping the whole game up. We have plans to eventually just uncap the frame rate, but a lot more has to be redone in order to allow that. It's much more complicated than just bumping it up to 60. I wrote a algorithm that basically injects more interpolation frames in between the animation keyframes based on like what your what your frame rate is. So by default, Legend of Dragoon uses either no frames in between keyframes or it uses one interpolation frame. Um, so like let's say that I am drawing in white on a white background. Let's say like these are your keyframes. So normally you'd either have nothing in between here and it would just jump straight from keyframe to keyframe, or there would only be one. So basically I just wrote a little formula that will take the expected frame rate, so like 20, for example, in the world map, and the current frame rate, and it will inject extra interpolation frames in between and just smooth everything out. Once the world map and submap conversions are done, we are going to start on the massive task of converting combat. Um, World map and submaps are probably 10% of the work. Um, the game is literally like 90% combat code. It's just all special effects. Um, there's a lot, and it is going to take us a very long time. I haven't fully decided yet. I may or may not do an interim release with everything but combat converted open to OpenGL or converted over to OpenGL. Um, it would be nice for people to be able to play with the rest of the game running at 60 at 1080p. Um, but at the same time, like I feel like it would be kind of jarring to go into combat and just have it look so much worse. But I don't know, it might still be worth it. We'd probably do a poll and see what people think. I mean, I have a feeling that most people wouldn't be opposed to that. All right, let's take a look at this. No, I don't have a degree, but I have been doing this for a very long time. I do programming for a living. Yeah, this is my brother in the chat, so he knows. We have a dad who did a lot of programming as a kid, so I started out on the Commodore 64 and never really stopped. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I haven't done much Pascal. Pascal is very, very old. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it like seriously for probably, well, I guess it's been over 15 years, but I started programming probably between 20 and 25 years ago. Yeah, I mean, if you want to try getting into it, I mean, I understand why it might feel intimidating, but everyone's got to start somewhere, right? Um, there is a website called Khan Academy, and they've got tons of free courses. Um, I've never tried their programming stuff, but I've done some of their linear algebra and calculus, and they're really good, and it's all 100% free. Definitely recommend that. And I haven't done a whole lot of Python myself, but from what I understand, it is a uh, decent language for getting into it. The way that I really, really got into programming was just like taking other projects and tinkering with them. Just things that I was interested in. Like one of the biggest things that really, really got me uh, going was actually a super, super old 2D VB6 uh, game engine, like a cheap knockoff of RPG Maker XP. And I just kind of took that and tinkered with it for years. And that's where I got my interest in like game development and stuff. Getting into decompilation, if you're going to be decompiling games and stuff, you will need to understand C or C++. Um, Decompilation has a lot of layers to it. Um, the way that um, the way that I got started with decompilation um, is well, but before decompilation, I learned a lot about computer hardware and how computers work by actually like building a like fully functional 8-bit computer, um, just like out of electronic components. So kind of like a full CPU and bus and RAM and everything, just like from scratch. Wasn't able to do a whole lot. It ran at, well, it still, it works. Like I still have it and it can run programs and stuff, but it only runs at like 1 kilohertz and has 64 kilobytes of RAM. Um, but yeah, that was a really interesting way to learn how like the internals of computers work. Graduated from 8-bit school, yeah. Um, oh hey Ink. Thank you for the ridiculous donation earlier. Um, so yeah, that I learned how like, computers work at the fundamental level. I created an assembly language for it, and that's how I got started like actually understanding assembly, um, and how like code works at the lowest level. Well, I didn't have to worry about saving photos there because it had a 3-digit display, and that's it. I have thought about pushing it a little bit farther because I do really enjoy hacking on things like that. Just add like a simple little like either LED grid array, or maybe like a small LCD display. Maybe make Pong or something. The most I ever really did with it was like write like a Fibonacci sequence calculator and some basic math stuff. But yeah, so that's how I learned like how like super low level programming works. Um, and then I just kind of jumped into reverse engineering LOD with like no real understanding of the PlayStation architecture or LOD or anything like that because every decision that I make is super well thought out and you know, I don't definitely don't have ADHD. But it has worked out obviously. Learned a lot, and now we have a fully working PC port. So yeah, it took a very a ton of research. There's this German dude, goes by the name of Problem Kaput, and he wrote up a super detailed description of like all of the PS1 hardware. So that was really invaluable. That helped me build the old emulation layer that I used to use. Can you build a VM in Minecraft that can play Minecraft? That would be interesting. In order to build something that big, you would definitely need to like write a program that like creates a Minecraft world for you. Um, I have messed around with building some computers in Minecraft, but never really gone super far with it. Yeah, you get it, Pony Bro. Let's see if we can get models rendering here. Okay. Y'all keep getting me way off topic. That's all right though. These streams are just as much for chilling out as they are for actually getting anything done. Okay, so use the world to screen matrix. Yep. Hey chat, I will be back in one moment. I just have to run to the bathroom real quick. I will leave a beautiful BRB on screen. Uh, yeah, be back in 1 second. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna mint a NFT of that. All right, let's see what we can get going here. Little tricks for the transformations. Set up the yeah, it does do some like map, so I think this is work. Um, okay, where do these get built? Um, we gotta find where the models are being loaded for the submap objects. Thanks for stopping by, Enclosure. We do this every week, so hopefully we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so the model is actually being built here, so that's really easy. So, model dot. Okay, so model part. So I've got this that just straight TMD files, which makes this much easier. This might just work. Let's see. In the destructor, we should clean up after ourselves. Be very cool if we could get this all running the stream. That is my goal. Okay, let's backtrack to the environment rendering. I'm pretty right now the environment rendering is going to render off of everything else. So temporarily, I'm just going to do those render calls. And let's see if we have models. It'd be something if it just worked. Look at that. It just worked. And look at how smooth this is. Okay, it's not perfect. There's some weird transparency stuff going on. You can see through Dart's shoulder for some reason. And walk through Kongo's arm, but that might just be a retail issue. Since it looks like the collision is actually, like, accurate. This might just be a retail issue. Look at that. You can't get much higher quality than that. And this isn't even 60 FPS yet. This is still 30. The lighting definitely isn't right. You can see Dart's like actual textured face is quite a bit different than the side of his head, but we are very close here. Yeah, there's some weird translucency stuff going on. Like I can see Dart's feet through the chest. But damn, look at that. I wonder what is going on with translucency here. Also, I'm going to actually I'm gonna uncomment the overlay. Those are supposed to render on top. This should give us anyways on this map, it should give us a bit of an idea of where we are. Okay, there's just one. That's not very helpful. Are we missing a call to disable translucency somewhere in here? Render pool. Um, we're disabling blending before. No, we're disabling blending before rendering the main thing. Is there anything rendering with translucency here? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, this is all original models. There's nothing weird going on here. Like the PS1 is just not capable of rendering the game in a high enough quality to actually like use the assets properly. Um, like LOD was pretty much at the very end of the PS1's life cycle, and I'm really not sure why they didn't just target the PS2. Um, Probably corporate deadline bullshit, but you know, who knows? Unfortunately, we can't really tell what this is that is rendering with translucency. Yeah, I'm not really sure I will be doing that. Let's try commenting out the translucency rendering and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, parts of Dart are actually being considered translucent. That is very strange. I'm gonna add another note about this. Start S map model parts are translucent. Okay, let's uh let's go back to Leningrad where we'll actually have a bunch more models. All right, so the backgrounds are not quite moving properly. Or maybe no, I think it's actually the models that should, yeah, the models should be moving and they're not. That's the actual issue. Yeah, so text boxes are kind of working. You can actually see the text popping up in the corner. It's just not positioned correctly. I didn't think I had actually gotten text working, but apparently I did. Yeah, you can see it up in the corner there. I'm kind of amazed that's working because I did not test that. Yes, you did, Zycronix. We have backgrounds and foregrounds rendering, and we also have the 3D models rendering for all submap objects. All right. Now, why are the models not moving correctly? Render as map model. That's here we go. I've got the background rendering disabled right now because orthographic projection, so it would render on top of everything. All right, now why are we jumping here? So we're just setting up the transforms. Is there anything funny in here? Maybe in the map object tracker? No, that's just setting the camera. That's all animations, collision handling. Now, what is this? This is just under model's feet. We do need to probably use the Z offset here. Yeah, it actually happened pretty quick. To be honest with you, most of the OpenGL stuff so far has just been going well. Yeah, do you like that thumbnail? I made it myself. Um, with the same amazing skills as the message. What happens if we use the low matrix? This is probably going to break everything. All right, everyone's tiny now. Okay, so what needs to happen for this to be correct? The background is moving correctly. However, the objects are not. Hey Drew, what's up? Um, does this need to be translated by the screen offset, maybe? It's time to try things until something works. Alright, well that did something. Uh, okay, well it's not right, but it is something. Oops, I left. Okay, how does camera work? What we should be looking at? Matrix, the condition. Transforms the vertex into 3D space. Or from 3D space into 2D space. That is simple. Then it nudges the screen offsets. Same, yeah, it is the same. Um, I wonder if that needs to be scaled. Again, try something until it works. That's my philosophy to programming. Skylar, so the project itself is basically already finished. Um, we have like a fully working release, recommended build 2.1. Um, but now we're actually just like working on making it better than retail. So, like you can already play through the full game start to finish on the current version. And it's got a lot of nice features like unlimited save slots, mods, campaigns, etc., etc. Um, and now we're just kind of like pushing it way past the limit of what any emulator can do. Right now we're working on yeah, yeah, exactly, prettying it up. Right now we're working on converting the rendering code over to OpenGL, which also means 60 frames per second, higher resolutions, widescreen support if people want to use it. Um, After that, we are going to be working more on the modding API to really make it so that people can do anything they want with the game, up to and including even like, making new games in the LOD engine if they wanted to. Although I suppose I can't really call it the LOD engine at this point since we've modified it so very heavily. Yeah, DuckStation does a pretty good job, but there is unfortunately a fundamental limit to what it can do since, it can't actually like modify any code. Um, like we're actually like fully editing the game code here and you know, like rewriting big parts of it to you to be like, like a modern game basically. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, let me just show you the world map here real quick. Yeah, like this is full 60 FPS. A few of the assets didn't load correctly. What would the legal ramifications be of someone making something in this engine? As long as you don't redistribute any uh, copywritten or copyrighted assets, nothing really. So yeah, this right here, this is full 60 FPS world map, proper depth. You don't see stuff sticking out and behind other things. So, like this is something that just it can't really be done in emulation. Probably doesn't come through great over YouTube because the YouTube encoding is not good by any means. But point. Back to the legality. There's no issues with severed chains because we require that you have the original game. You actually need like a copy of the game, like ISOs or bins or whatever, the same as you would with an emulator. Um, and the reason we need those is because we don't ship any of the game assets. So things like models, textures, sounds, music, etc., etc. We actually extract everything from the disk images into this unpack folder here. So this is basically just like all of the files from all four disks. And that's part of the reason that we are able to have like zero loading screens. We don't need to pretend to be a disk drive like an emulator does. Um, I've also rewritten all of the file loading code so that it's all completely multi-threaded. Right now, we only support the US version of the game. Um, we do plan to evaluate the feasibility of using games from other regions or using versions from other regions. Um, although, in saying that, Zycronix has a mod available called Dramod, short for Dragoon modifier, and it actually allows you to select the um, like monster, item, shop, etc., files from different regions. So, like for example, you could play Severed Chains using like Japanese stats, um, or we even have presets for the US demo and Japanese demo. Because even though you could only play those games up until like Bale, I think, they actually included all of the uh, stats for like the full game. Zycronix also has a hard mode preset, which has a bunch of new features and stuff too, on top of being like a full top to bottom rebalance of the game. And Hell mode will be coming out at some point too, which is just kind of like way over the top stuff like new abilities for players like burn stacks. There's level 7 dragoons, etc., etc. We have plans for adding translation support. Um, it's still going to be a while off. We're only sort of in like the exploration phase of that. But we plan to externalize all text in the game into language files so that adding a new language to the game is as simple as like copying in a new language file. I can show you an example of this right now, actually. Just a really simple example. Um, all mods have to ship with a language file that's used for translating things like config buttons in the user interface. So like this is the core mod language file. Um, you can see it's basically just like a flat file that contains like a key and then the text. So this is for EN, English, but we could ship another file with all of these keys translated into a different language, and then you just be able to toggle that in the UI. I don't sell it, but that being said, I do have a Ko-fi account um, where I take, memberships and donations. We definitely couldn't sell it as a product. But yeah. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so 3 or 4 at getting these. Yeah, I appreciate that, but I mean, I do this because I like doing it. So totally optional. All these aftermarket consoles and handhelds now, like the Retron, why don't we make one that only runs LOD and can connect to the internet for version updates? Yeah, $999. That sounds good. What am I looking for here? The Horde 2 transformation. This is almost definitely not going to work at all. Oh yeah, I think you're onto something with the 108. Hey bot, you did it. Never been so proud. Okay, so that is doing nothing at all. Oh, this translation vector is not used, apparently. What about the matrix transfer vector? Okay, that's got some junk in it. That's kind of lame. You'd think they'd have a way to make it different, like per. Okay, so again, this is different. It's not right, but it's different. What if we subtract this value? Okay, I mean, again, different. Hey, look, those people are 2D cutouts. We're playing Paper Mario, talking paper cutouts. Amazing. All right, well, that clearly isn't it. The 11,000 year door. So, I mean, it's sort of working like this. Um, However, we're obviously missing something. Uh, right, we are scaling up the size of the background objects. I bet that has something to do with it. Let's grab that scale value again. We will multiply these by the scale, but we will also scale the transformation matrix. That's slightly closer. I accidentally left again. Hey, look at this. Okay, so the transfer vector does have. Hmm. I know there are different Z values there. Um, yeah, we have a lot of those moments here. Okay, so what have we learned? We have learned that I am going to leave again. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so I think we're not quite on the boundary here. We're clearly not over here since this is where the shop is. I should probably just get the backgrounds rendering properly before I try and actually fix this properly. Because then we could actually see, like, how things are moving. That is pretty close, but it's not, definitely not right. But yeah, been, we've been going for about 2 hours, so I think we'll probably wrap it up there. Again, we made pretty damn good progress here. Um, I mean, that's probably like, a quarter of the way to having submaps actually working. Um, And yeah, I mean, I'll be working on this throughout the week, and next dev stream, this will probably all be working really well. Um, if I have it all finished, maybe we'll even start looking into combat, but I have a feeling it I won't be quite finished with this stuff by then, but yeah, we'll see. I guess we also need to take care of the menus and stuff first. It's uh it's not super easy navigating them blind. But yeah, anyway. We'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone who's been tuning in every week, as well as the new viewers. We've had quite a few lately since there's been quite a bit of exciting stuff going on. I know the dev streams can be a little bit dry sometimes, but other ones like this we're working on some pretty big stuff and been moving along pretty quick. So I did a little dev grinding off stream, yeah. Exactly. But yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. Big thanks to my monthly Ko-fi supporters, the Packle, J-Man 001, Deningrad, Sparta, Shepherd, Zach, Chocolate, Platinum Sarge, Doom Metal, Milk Lizard, Anonymous, Vince Easter, Balder, and Ambi. And a huge thanks to Ink. I'm not sure if he's still in the chat or not, for the $105 donation, which is ridiculous. There will be a link to my Ko-fi account in the description if anyone is interested in supporting me and this project. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week.